wide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome to Millennium News Hour. I am Tanzeeba Naurin. In today's bulletin, we will present top and trending news from across the nation and the world. Let's begin with the headlines of the day. Two U.S. hostages released by Hamas are Judith and Natalie Raanan. Biden says U.S. holds the world together as he condemns Putin and Hamas. U.S. says China has significantly expanded its nuclear arsenal. U.S. allows visa-free travel for Israelis. Trump co-defendant Kenneth Chesebro strikes plea deal with Georgia prosecutors. Jim Jordan out as Republican Speaker nominee. Massive protest seen at U.S. embassies in several countries after Gaza hospital bombing. Israel levels Gaza district, hits church. Kremlin says Biden comparing Putin with Hamas unacceptable. UN chief pushes to get aid into Gaza but process is slow. Canada pulls 41 diplomats from India amid row over separatist killing. Australia beat Pakistan by 62 runs. And Messi should have won Ballon d'Or category, says Guardiola. You are listening to Headlines, now news in detail. Two U.S. hostages taken custody by Hamas, both related to former Israel-based NBC correspondent Martin Fletcher, have been released. Judith Raanan and her daughter Natalie fell into the clutches of Hamas after the militants on October 7 launched a surprise attack on Israel. They had been staying on a kibbutz called Nahal Oz, which is located in southern Israel. Their release was announced by the Israeli Prime Minister's office and confirmed by Fletcher a day after the former correspondent went public and said on the 11th hour with Stephanie Roll that two members of his wife's family were being held hostage by Hamas. Mother and daughter were greeted at the Gaza border by Israeli Brigadier General Gal Hirsch and taken to a military base deeper into Israel, where they were reunited with worried relatives, a spokesperson from the Israeli Prime Minister's office said. In an interview with NBC News, Fletcher said that his wife has been told that her family members are with the Red Cross in Israel. There is obviously a huge sigh of release and at the same time concern that there are still so many hostages, Fletcher said. President Joe Biden has said he will ask Congress for more money to support Israel and Ukraine, asserting in an impassioned speech that both nations were fighting enemies of democracy. Speaking to Americans from the Oval Office, Biden sought to make a link between the actions of Hamas in Israel and those of Russian President Vladimir Putin, who sent his troops into Ukraine for a full-scale invasion in February 2022. Biden said stopping such aggression was crucial not only for the security of the US but also for the wider world. Hamas and Putin represent different threats, but they share this in common. They both want to annihilate a neighboring democracy, he said. He said if the US walked away and aggressors succeeded, others might be emboldened to try the same, spreading the risk of conflict to other parts of the world. American leadership is what holds the world together, the president said during the 10-minute speech, only the second he has made from the Oval Office during his administration. American alliances are what keep us, America, safe. American values are what make us a partner that other nations want to work with. Biden was speaking hours after returning from a whirlwind trip to Tel Aviv, where he reiterated US support for Israel even amid its total blockade of Gaza and relentless bombardment of the Palestinian enclave of 2.3 million people. The United States has said China is expanding its arsenal of nuclear weapons even more quickly than expected. China had more than 500 operational nuclear warheads by May 2023 and was on track to exceed previous projections, the Pentagon said in its annual report on China's military power, which was released on Thursday. It added that Beijing was likely to have more than 1,000 operational nuclear warheads by 2030 and will continue expanding its capabilities to ensure its modernization is basically complete by that year. That would still be considerably below the US and Russia's current deployed nuclear arsenal. However, with Washington having about 1,410 nuclear warheads and Russia 1,550. China is currently embarking on a mission to develop new weaponry and enhance its military training as part of a major modernization drive to ensure the country has a world-class military by 2049. As well as its nuclear expansion, the report said China was developing a new intercontinental ballistic missile system using conventional arms that would allow Beijing to threaten conventional strikes against targets in the continental United States, Hawaii, and Alaska. As the Israel-Hamas war intensifies, the United States Thursday launched a visa waiver program allowing Israelis wishing to visit the United States for 90 days or less to come without applying for a visa, reports Arab News. The US announced September 27 that it was admitting Israel into the visa waiver program, adding the country to a select group of 40 mostly European and Asian countries whose citizens can travel to the US for 3 months without visas. At the time, the US said Israelis could start traveling to America without visas as of November 30. In a news release, the Department of Homeland Security said the program was operational as of Thursday. Officials gave no reason for the changed timeline in the news release issued Thursday. Trump campaign legal advisor Kenneth Chesebro struck a deal with prosecutors from the Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney's Office in its 2020 election interference case on Friday. Chesebro, who was charged alongside Donald Trump and more than a dozen other co-defendants with attempting to delay the transfer of power after the 2020 election, was scheduled to stand trial this week. He accepted the offer as jury selection was underway on Friday, after 450 potential jurors had completed a lengthy questionnaire on what would be asked. He had rejected an earlier deal late last month. Appearing before Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee, Chesbrough pleaded guilty to a felony count of conspiracy to commit filing false documents and agreed to testify in the case as part of the deal. The Trump attorney faces 5 years probation, a $5,000 fine, 100 hours of community service, and must continue to provide documents and evidence to the state, according to the terms of the deal. Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio, no longer the Speaker nominee. A secret ballot taken in the House caucus this afternoon had 112 ballots cast against him and 86 in favor. Jordan bled support for his candidacy between the first and second rounds of voting this week. His nearly 90-minute meeting Thursday afternoon with 22 Republicans who have voted against him ended with little to no apparent progress. Republicans are not moving forward with the proposal Jordan supported that would have temporarily empowered Speaker pro tempore Patrick McHenry of North Carolina to take on the Speaker's role. Meanwhile, McHenry told GOP colleagues he might resign from the pro tempore spot if they try to advance legislation without first expanding his powers. The House standstill began after Republican Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida led a small cadre of conservatives in ousting Representative Kevin McCarthy of California as Speaker earlier this month. We will be back after a short break. Till then, stay with us. This world continuously revolving around various events. Every minute, every second, something is happening somewhere around the globe, and you want to get connected to that event or to that specific moment. Here we come, Millennium News Hour, to get you connected with top USA and international trending news, which includes local news, political news, world news, business news, health and science related news, entertainment news, sports news, and so on. Millennium News 24 is transmitted and available to be watched free for all at TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV, and Apple TV, and also in all European countries and Australia, available with Sky Network, Worldwide Jago TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BT Network, and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with Millennium News Hour to get the world news on your fist. Welcome back to Millennium News Hour. Now it's time for global updates. Thousands of people in Muslim countries and beyond held demonstrations Friday in solidarity with Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, calling for an end to Israel's blockade and airstrikes in the wake of a brutal incursion into southern Israel by fighters from the Hamas militant group that rules Gaza. Demonstrators gathered in Iraq at the country's border crossing with Jordan, in locations across Egypt, in Turkey's capital Ankara and its most populous city of Istanbul, and in Indonesia, Malaysia, and South Korea. A Tuesday night explosion at a Gaza City hospital tending to wounded Palestinians and residents seeking shelter was a prominent theme in some of the demonstrations. The cause of the blast at Al-Ahli Hospital has not been determined. U.S. assessment said the explosion was not caused by an Israeli airstrike, as the Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza initially reported. Israel has presented video, audio, and other evidence it says proves the blast was caused by a rocket misfired by Palestinian militants, who denied responsibility. Israel leveled a northern Gaza district on Friday after giving families a half-hour warning to escape, and hit an Orthodox Christian church where others had been sheltering, as it made clear that a command to invade Gaza was expected soon. The Secretary General of the United Nations visited the crossing between the besieged Gaza Strip and Egypt and said humanitarian aid must be allowed across as soon as possible. Israel launched a ruthless bombing campaign in Gaza on October 7 after Hamas fighters intruded into the Jewish state. More than 1,400 people were killed in the assault. Meanwhile, Israel has pounded Gaza with airstrikes and put the enclave's 2.3 million people under a total siege, banning shipments even of food, fuel, and medical supplies. At least 4,137 Palestinians have been killed and 13,000 wounded in Gaza in Israeli strikes since October 7, the Palestinian Health Ministry said. The UN says more than 1 million have been made homeless. Meanwhile, Israeli military yesterday said most of the 200 or so people kidnapped by Hamas militants and taken to the Gaza Strip are still alive. The Orthodox Patriarchate of Jerusalem, the main Palestinian Christian denomination, said Israeli forces had struck the Church of St. Porphyrius in Gaza City, where hundreds of Christians and Muslims had sought sanctuary. The Kremlin said on Friday that remarks by US President Joe Biden comparing Russian President Vladimir Putin to the Palestinian militant group Hamas were unacceptable. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters the current moment was a potentially dangerous one and that the threat to Russian citizens would grow exponentially once Israel started its expected ground operation in Gaza. In remarks on Thursday, Biden sought to compare Hamas's actions to those of Putin, whose forces launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Hamas and Putin represent different threats, but they share this in common. They both want to annihilate a neighboring democracy, Biden said. Meanwhile, a United Nations Commission of Inquiry on Ukraine said it had found additional evidence that Russian forces had committed indiscriminate attacks and war crimes in Ukraine, including rape and the deportation of children to Russia. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres visited the Rafah border crossing on Friday and said 8 trucks needed to move as quickly as possible from Egypt into the besieged Palestinian enclave of Gaza to alleviate a humanitarian crisis. The crossing has become a focus of attention since Israel began its bombing of Gaza in retaliation for a deadly assault by the Hamas militant group on southern Israel on October 7. Gaza is running short of fuel, food, water, and medicine, but the Egyptian-controlled border has remained shut while various parties wrangle over terms for allowing aid to flow in. Guterres flew to Egypt on Friday in a push to get the trucks moving. These trucks are not just trucks, they are a lifeline. They are the difference between life and death to many people in Gaza, he said, speaking on the Egyptian side of the crossing. To see them stuck here makes me very clear what we need is to make them move to the other side of this wall, to make them move as quickly as possible and as many as possible. Canada has pulled 41 diplomats out of India in the latest escalation of a bitter dispute over the killing of a Sikh separatist in Vancouver. The Canadian government made the decision to recall its diplomat after the Indian government said it would revoke their diplomatic immunity. Canadian Foreign Minister Melanie Joly said on Wednesday. Joly said India's threat to revoke their diplomatic immunity was unprecedented and violated international law. Given the implications of India's actions on the safety of our diplomats, we have facilitated their safe departure from India, Joly said during a press conference. Joly said Canada would continue to defend international law and engage with India. If we allow the norm of diplomatic immunity to be broken, no diplomats anywhere on the planet would be safe. So for this reason, we will not reciprocate, she said. Now more than ever, we need diplomats on the ground and we need to talk to one another, she added. India's Ministry of External Affairs previously called for a reduction in the number of Canadian diplomats in the country, saying they outnumbered India's staffing in Canada. Now it's time for business news. Today's New York stock close price is 15,033.31. The NYSE Composite is decreased by 163.06 points or 1.07%. Tokyo stock close price is 31,259.36. The Nikkei 225 index is decreased by 171.26 points or 0.54%. Shanghai stock close price is 2,983.06. The Shanghai index is decreased by 22.33 points or 0.74%. Hong Kong stock close price is 17,172.13. The Hang Seng index is decreased by 123.76 points or 0.72%. Bombay stock close price is 65,397.62. The Sensex index is decreased by 231.62 points or 0.35%. Let's have a look on today's sports stories. Australia rode on punishing centuries from openers David Warner and Mitchell Marsh to beat Pakistan by 62 runs in their World Cup game in Bangalore on Friday. Australia's total of 367 for 9 was built on Warner's 163 with Marsh on his 32nd birthday, hitting 121. Pakistan were undone by poor bowling and fielding, which saw Warner dropped when he had made just 10. Leg spinner Adam Zampa then ripped through the middle order with figures of 4 for 53 as Pakistan were bowled out for 305 in 45.3 overs, leaving both teams on 2 wins and as many losses. Pakistan next face Afghanistan in Chennai on Monday, while Australia's next opponents are the Netherlands in New Delhi 2 days later. Pep Guardiola says Lionel Messi should have his own category at the Ballon d'Or, but admitted the World Cup winner and Manchester City hotshot Erling Haaland would both be deserving winners of the prize. Messi, who recently left Paris Saint-Germain for Inter Miami, is favourite to win the Ballon d'Or for a record-extending 8th time after leading Argentina to World Cup glory last year. Haaland could be his main rival after scoring 52 goals in 53 games to help City win the Champions League, Premier League and FA Cup last season. Guardiola knows the qualities of both players better than most, previously coaching Messi at Barcelona and currently managing Haaland with City. Always I said that the Ballon d'Or should be in 2 sections, one for Messi and after look for the other one, so Haaland should win, yes. Guardiola said on Friday. We won the treble because he scored 50 million goals, but of course Messi, if you tell me the worst season for Messi is the best for the rest of the players. Let's have a look on today's weather forecast. Before finishing today's news, let's hear out the headlines again. Two US hostages released by Hamas are Judith and Natalie Ranan. Biden says US holds the world together as he condemns Putin and Hamas. US says China has significantly expanded its nuclear arsenal. US allows visa-free travel for Israelis. Trump co-defendant Kenneth Chesebro strikes plea deal with Georgia prosecutors. Jim Jordan out as Republican Speaker nominee. Massive protest seen at US embassies in several countries after Gaza hospital bombing. Israel levels Gaza district, hits church. Kremlin says Biden comparing Putin with Hamas unacceptable. UN chief pushes to get aid into Gaza but process is slow. Canada pulls 41 diplomats from India amid row over separatist killing. Australia beat Pakistan by 62 runs. And Messi should have own Ballon d'Or category, says Guardiola. That's all for today. Keep watching Millennium News Hour for latest news update. To stay updated, like our Facebook page, subscribe our YouTube channel and visit our website. Our website address is www.millenniumnews24.com. Millennium News 24 is transmitted and available to be watched free for all at TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV and Apple TV. And also in all European countries and Australia available with the Sky Network, Worldwide Jago TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with us for all the latest news worldwide. Thank you.